Action.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Come on along. I'm going to show you something. Steak is an American pastime. If you think backyard, you always think steak, meat, barbecue. So today, we're going to find out how to make the perfect steak in regards to your preference. Rare, medium rare. Right here, my cameraman and also my audience member, we got William Cobb. And over here is our filet and our ingredients. Right here we got some good old olive oil, some pepper, and a little bit of seasoning. Also I got my informal outline here, just sitting up. Now, what you want to do is you want to start out with some good olive oil. Before you cook your steak, get it all ready, make sure it's room temperature, and make sure you get all the juices off it. You want a dry steak to begin with. Now, the reason you want some olive oil is because you want to lock all those juices in there. Make sure you wash your hands first and give the steak a good rubbing with the olive oil. Now, I always like to put a little pepper on my steak, only because it gives it a good robust flavor. And you want to really avoid anything, you don't want to put any direct salt on it, because that's going to dry out the meat when you cook it. But if you have seasoning, like I do, I've got a little Angelo's seasoning right here. It's got salt in it, so you want to put a little bit on there just to give it good flavor. But you don't want to put too much. But like I said, it's going to ruin the meat. I'm just going to get a little handful here. Just give it a good sprinkle and rub it in. And there we go. Now, like I said, you don't want to start off with a cold cut of meat. A cold cut of meat is going to make sure it dries out a whole lot quicker. And what we're looking for is some good tender juiciness. Now with fillets, you want to cook it about 3 minutes on one side, and then flip it, and then you're going to cook it about maybe 3 to 5 minutes depending on what you want. Now, I've got a steak already cooking here, just for the sake of time, but we'll go ahead and put this one on here just to show you how to do this. Now, with the preparation of the grill, I've got a good charcoal grill going on here, and you want, with fillets, you want a good hot surface. Now, what I like to do is do the two-hand second touch. Two-second hand touch is when you put your hand on there, and if it gets really, really hot where you can't put your hand on there for 2 seconds, that's when you know it's good. So what you're going to want to do is put your steak on there and cook it for about a good 3 minutes. And then give it a quarter turn after that, just to give it some good surface area. And then after about 3 minutes, you're going to flip it and do the same thing on the other side. Now, why we want it so hot is because you want to lock the juices in there. With a good outside crust, it's going to keep all the juices from getting out. That's what you want, especially with fillets, is to get a good, tender, juicy steak. Now I like my steak a good medium rare. And if you'll come over here and look at this steak has been on there for a couple minutes. Starting, you get a good, juicy bleediness going on here. That's when you know it's just about ready to take off. Now, if you want to know what your steak is without cutting into it, because you don't want to cut into it, that's going to dry the steak out a whole lot more. You can tell just by using what I like to do is a finger touch. If you touch the steak and it leaves an imprint, that's going to be rare. And if you touch it, it gives a little bit of spring back, it's going to be around medium rare. If it gives a good quick spring back, it's going to be about medium well. And if it springs back immediately and it seems really hard, that's going to be well done, or as I like to call it, ruined. So we'll go ahead and give this one a good turn. See, this is what you want on here, some good lines. And you want to keep the lid open with cooking fillets because you always want a high, hot heat. If you close the grill, it may take the heat down a little bit, it may just ruin the steak. So, especially with fillets, you just want to keep it, open, keep it good and hot. Now we're about to see right here, with this steak, we'll go ahead, give it another turn for a little bit, just to get that on there. Now, when you take your steak off, it's going to be still cooking on the inside. So you want to take it off just right before you think it's about finished. Once you take it off, it's going to cool for about 2 minutes, and during that 2-minute period, it's going to keep cooking on the inside of the meat. You don't want to cover it, you don't want to do nothing, just want to leave it out and just let it cool down for a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one off. Looks pretty good. Now, if you follow me inside, we'll go get a knife. We'll cut into this bad boy. Now, just to restate earlier, you don't want to cut in to a good piece of meat until you're absolutely ready to cook it. Because if you do, not only is that going to dry out your steak, it's just going to taste a little bit off. So right here, make sure you get this. We're going to cut directly into the steak. That's a good medium rare right there. With medium, you're going to see it not really any pink on the inside. With rare, it's going to be all bloody and pink. And with well done, you're not going to see any of that redness in there. So we're going to go ahead and give it a taste test. Tender and juicy. Delicious. Now, I'm going to finish this one up so that my cameraman Will can have some. But just about in conclusion, there's just some things you want to remember. Always remember not to start with a cold piece of steak. Always remember no salt. No salt's going to dry it out. Make sure your surface area is very hot. I use the 2-second hand touch. And also you can use your finger to figure out how juicy and how rare steak is. Now come here. This one is still rare. If you see I push into it, it leaves an imprint. That's what you're looking for if you like a good rare piece of steak. So in all, if you want a good piece of steak, all you got to do is follow good instructions, like I just gave. That's about it. Hope you enjoy.